All right, welcome to the NFL edition of the Shout of the Script podcast. This is your host, Jared May, and I'm joined once again by the medical guy, otherwise known as AKA Jacob Clark, a tenured athletic trainer and a master's at SFA.
You are correct about all of that. So
Hey, yeah, I got it off the dome. If you aren't following the socials, you can find us at Shout of the Script on all platforms: TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. At Shatter the Script. Subscribe for notifications and get these episodes in under an hour on your way to work or on the way back from work, and catch up on all the latest and greatest in the nooks and crannies of college football and NFL, debunking the mainstream media and escaping from the major outlets. But, first week NFL fantasy football is back. NFL is back. It was nice to hear the Sunday night football theme. And really get things started with a bang with the Thursday night football game, which is how we're going to start in this episode. The Cowboys versus Eagles. We covered it with the analyst last week with Ryan, just talking about the outlook of what we can expect from the Cowboys. Very Cowboys centralized podcast last week. And this week, I think, just going into what we saw in the Cowboys and Eagles game, I think we got to start with the whole Jalen Carter incident. We're watching that live. I don't know if you caught it live, but we're sitting there, and the poor, I think it was an H-back or a fullback that had injured his knee. He gets carted off, and in between all that, Dak's talking a little squirmish and little type shit, in the huddle, and spits in the vicinity, and Jalen Carter took it as hostile, and we got a little bit of crime on the field, if you want to call it that. So when you were watching that, what were your initial thoughts?
well, so I was kind of in the middle, or right at the beginning of our, because we played a Thursday night game at in Utah, actually, against Snow College. And so I was kind of looking at it, paying attention to the game, kind of watching it, catching it where I could, and all of a sudden I just saw Jalen Carter getting thrown out of the game and walking to the locker room, being escorted by Big Dom. And
that's his name. Okay, I can remember his name.
And so I was like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, dude, he had to punch somebody. That's your first reaction, right? He had to punch somebody, because I didn't see what happened. And then saw the clip and replay of him just spitting on Dak. And I guess I got multiple takes about it. It's like, first, really? That's what we're doing, is spitting on each other? And second, my favorite take so far is how people have said, whoa, did you see this video of Dak? He's not so innocent himself. And I'm like, brother, he didn't spit on him. There's a difference between me spitting at your feet and spitting in your face. Tell me there's not a difference. And so I'm like, yeah, okay. He was probably talking a little smack. I get it. And, he probably spit at him behind, his lineman, and then walked up and said something. But then, you spit on the dude. That's just gross. Yeah. It's you can say all you want about, Dak instigating it, Dak spitting first. It's different.
Right, yeah.
There's two different levels of disrespect right there, and it's bro. And the third take is I do think it's kind of wild that they do him out just because he spit on him. I mean, give him a personal foul, whatever, but throwing him out, I thought that was a little much. I mean, I didn't mind it, but probably spit on him. He didn't kick him in the nuts or something. It wasn't
the overblow,
crazy.
The overblow of that, and I get it. It's highly disrespectful, but the commentators, the refs, everybody was like, "Oh my God!" And what it reminded me of was way back in the day. Yes, exactly. It was Randy Moss mooning the crowd as a celebration, and Joe Buck just loses his mind. That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss, and it's bro, it's not that serious. And this is the popcorn you want with a Cowboys and Eagles rivalry, I guess. But I honestly found it a soft thing. They're going to put the popcorn emojis and they're going to get the clickbait and all that kind of stuff. But, man, the Cowboys and Eagles rivalry used to be extremely rough. Extremely. And now we're just back to 6 feet distancing each other and hawk-tooing on one another.
Johnny hit me, Johnny bit me. It's
Yeah.
like, bro, like I was like, just give him 15 yards, let's move on. And then it's
Let's
like,
get on the road.
yeah, that's why I'm with you. I thought that was extremely soft to throw him out. Now, if he'd have
Yeah.
spit on him twice or like something like, you know, you get your one shot, then you get out. It's like, but to throw him out
A spit and a
immediately,
slap,
yeah,
Now we're talking.
yeah, now,
Because then the big boys get in there too behind Dak, and then it's a
yeah,
big old skirmish.
yeah.
Dak, you're out.
So
Jalen, you're out. Yeah, everybody.
yeah, so
Um,
I thought some of the takes about that were just like, guys, it's almost like y'all played football before. Like, there's much worse things that go on than getting spit on. like, like,
try
bro,
being in the pile to get a fumble. I'm
yeah,
sure there's a lot going
you get
on.
assaulted. You get sent to jail for some of the stuff that goes on in a pile.
Yeah. Secondarily, and this is no disrespect to Jalen Carter, but the disciplinary actions outside of the game of football might suggest Jalen Carter might have been talking before the clip of Dak talking.
Yeah, it
You know,
doesn't seem like the most upstanding human being sometimes. Like, don't know him
yeah,
personally, but
me
from
neither.
what's come out,
We only know as much as we know.
yeah, as much as everybody else tells us, and is
And we have 10 years of proof showing that Dak, the Walter Payton Man of the Year, is
yeah,
got a better
mm,
track record.
yeah, might outside of one time where he got his ass knocked out at a beach or whatever, but
Oh, yeah,
outside
yeah.
outside of that, it seems like he's grown from there. Jalen Carter, he might have lost that one. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, a little overblown. But, in terms of the game, I've already kind of spoken on it a bit, but I personally, I'd love to hear your take and kind of what you saw from the Dallas. I mean, obviously, we know what we're seeing with the Eagles. The Eagles are what we expected. Strong defensive front, some pass rushing capabilities that propels the secondary. And then offensively, it's very RPO ish. Under the sticks, efficient throws, running the ball with Saquon Barkley was strong, offensive line strong, protection strong, Jalen scrambling, tush pushes, et cetera, et cetera. But on the flip side of that, just kind of your overall take on the Dallas Cowboys, because first thing that comes to my mind is it was a whole lot better than what we expected.
yeah, that should be the take number one. It's much better than any reasonable Cowboy fan would have expected. Um, and then second, apparently the best defense is taking an hour-long weather break between halves because like the first half, like everybody's defense just sucked. Like no, okay, both offenses seemed like they were firing on all cylinders, but like I mean, we were even texting in the group and everything about how bad the Cowboys defense looked. And like, if we're
Yeah.
being honest, like the Eagles defense, which has kind of been a strong point of theirs, they weren't very good either. And so that's kind of what I took away from it is like, I think the Cowboys offense is obviously, I think they're better just because like you could see it was a little more creative. Um,
Yeah.
the Eagles kind of saw like, hey, I think the Cowboys' offensive scheme and what they do is better than what the Eagles is. However, the Eagles noticed really quickly that the Cowboys' defense was garbage and that we could just do these certain things. And I mean, we saw it in the first two quarters. It was like those drives were stress free.
Yeah.
And obviously in the second half, like I said, something changed. Whether it be the break kind of threw everybody out of whack, or adjustments were made at halftime. The defense was a lot better in the second half, and so I'll give them credit there. And I guess that's on both sides. Now we'll say Dallas's offense, I still think looked very good in the second half. However, and we've talked about it off stream, it's like a lot of people that got paid this summer didn't show up when they needed to,
Yeah.
and I don't know which one of your friends was talking about the biggest play of the game was Jake Ferguson's drop, but that's just not true.
It's just not.
Or the overthrow of Jake Ferguson because Jake Ferguson also had multiple drops. CeeDee Lamb had, I think, a career high in drops. Um, and so it's like and then I mean, you also look at stuff like I've watched a lot of film the past couple of days about you know George Pickens. I know he's a great number two, can be a number one, but like watching how he plays when he gets the ball or when the ball is called towards him and when he doesn't is very noticeable.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Tolbert looked like he took a major step back. Um, and then I figured we would have used Cavante Turpin more as that number three receiver gadget player, just because it gives you two speedsters. And
Yeah.
so I thought for the first half both teams' offenses looked great. The defenses on both sides looked terrible. Um, Now obviously they were missing Jalen Carter. Um, but in the second half, they both seemed to tighten it up a little bit and play a little better. I don't think the Eagles' offense was very good in the second half. I thought they
Mhm.
got very
Vanilla.
mundane, very vanilla, very, don't lose this game rather than go win it, which I think they easily could have done if they'd have kind of just stuck with what I mean, honestly, if they would have just tried to throw the ball a little more, I think they would have. But
Yeah.
they realized early, like, we don't have to. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty noticeable. They were like, we don't have to throw the ball deep because they're not going to stop us. As long as we can get 3rd and 4, we'll probably be okay. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of what I noticed there. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I know I kind of stole a lot of points, but
No, no, no.
what do you have to add to it?
That's what I was hoping for. Honestly, going to the second half, I think about it in terms of this. Chris Collinsworth would not shut up about how sluggish the offense or the players would be going back and how the most tough thing to do in football is stretch. And I was like, I disagree, but I think an hour-long delay gives coordinators ample time
Yeah,
to find solutions to what is currently happening in the game. Whereas if there isn't a delay, it's still you only get that 15-ish minute break at halftime to make
yeah,
some adjustments. But an hour, dude, you're turning on the projector and you're going into film room. Like, yeah, hey,
yeah,
what do we see here? Blah blah blah, and you're getting all the tablets out. So I think that's why we saw a huge lack of production based on or in comparison to the first half. And and additionally, I am happy that at least the mainstream narrative got one thing right, and it was that the game wasn't on Dak. A lot of
yeah,
times if a loss happens, they look at Dak and they say this is I don't want this to be like a Dak truther segment, but Dak made some phenomenal throws. That's the best he's looked in I would say 2 years, in 2 or 3 years. Like that was one of the better games I've seen him play. And one of my buddies makes a good point. Some of Dak's best games are losses.
yeah,
You look at Dak Prescott versus the Vikings. I think it was like 2018 or something like that, and Randall Cobb was on the team. Dude, he balled, and they lost the game.
yeah,
And I look at this one. I'm like 188 yards, 21 of 34, no touchdowns, no picks. And you look at the deep ball shot to CD Lamb, the fourth down shot to CD Lamb. You look at the you want to call it a hospital ball, but a hospital ball to Jake Ferguson in the end zone. You just keep going down the wire. Like, dude, these are the throws you need to make to win the football game.
yeah,
So I was very happy to see that. And then additionally, and the last point I'll say about the Dallas Cowboys is I thought the offensive line did really well. Protection was great. Dak had time to throw. And I get it. Dak made some plays with his feet. That's great. And Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders didn't look too bad. I mean, Miles Sanders looked bad outside of the 49, 50-yard run, whatever it was.
yeah,
But Javonte, had some physical runs. We got some push on the O-line. There was creativity. And last but not least, the pre-snap motion was finally there. Finally,
yeah,
the Dallas Cowboys offense said, hey, other teams are using pre-snap motion and it's working. Maybe we should do that. So
yeah,
props to Schottenheimer. And then I keep saying last thing, but it's just like a little stab at the game that I noticed. They didn't show Clayton Adams one time on screen, the OC. So
yeah.
I thought that was interesting. I'm like, because I'm very hopeful what Clayton Adams can become. And they never talked about him, never highlighted him. I was like, huh. But I get it. All eyes are on Schottenheimer. But
Yeah.
much better
And
than we expected.
Yeah, and my last thing about this is, and this is kind of what I was mentioning about maybe my shot of the script, right? Um,
Mm,
and by watching, football this weekend, like the Dallas Cowboys do not look bad. If if
no,
if I compare it to, let's look, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, uh, you know,
the
the
Bengals.
Cardinals and the Saints, the Bengals, the Broncos, the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Lions, the Texans, you know,
The Rams.
the Rams. Like, if I look at all these teams that played, like, we just played the defending champs, right? And, I mean, we were step for step with them, outside of, I mean, you could look at 5 plays and say, like, hey, if we made one of these, arguably could have won the game, right?
Yes.
And so, I'm not trying to be the homer. I'm not trying to be that Cowboys fan, but I mean, if that's what we put out there, I mean, you can't help but be a little optimistic about the rest of the season.
And it sucks.
It does. It sucks. But
It
personally,
sucks.
it sucks because of, for obviously the Jerry Jones reason. But it would be awesome to just see like Schottenheimer like do good,
Yeah.
because everybody kind of shit on him because it
Shot
was
on
like,
him.
yeah,
Pause.
because
Yeah.
yeah, yikes.
Hand up.
And so it would just be good to see like that. But it does really give you a little bit of optimism, because it showed like, hey, these are some of the changes we wanted to see in the offense. They're doing them, and it works, right? Defense, obviously, it's kind of funny there because yeah, they weren't the greatest straight up running the ball, but they scrambled a lot. But it is funny seeing like, hey, who could run down Jalen Hurts when he tries to escape?
Hmm.
I don't know, Mike Parsons. But
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
it is funny seeing that. But just to wrap it up, it's like it is nice to see like good things happen.
Yeah.
It's okay to be happy when they do. Like, we're all expecting it to suck, but like that was a good showing for a Thursday night game against the Eagles.
Yeah.
With weird weather, new coaches, all kinds of stuff. So that's all I have to
Certainly.
say about that.
Yeah. I think and then changing gears into honestly, I would rather skip all the way to the Sunday night football game between the Bills and the Ravens, and obviously these two quarterbacks have basically traded MVP votes and MVP awards with each other. And, I've gone back and forth of which player is better than the other. And you look at supporting cast and you can, and head coaching and schedule and defense, and you can make it whatever decision you want. Bottom line is, these are most likely the two best AFC teams in the NFL. And we saw that. And I don't even think it speaks on bad defense. I understand the score was 41-40, and the Bills won. But the first thing I would highlight is these are two very, very powerful offenses ran by the two best quarterbacks in the NFL, and in my opinion. And I look at, Derrick Henry still got it. I know he had that fumble, but the pieces are all there. I don't think this is a reflection on the defense in this game. I think it's a huge reflection on how powerful the offenses are going to be this season. But I'll let you have first take on just kind of what you saw in this game in terms of, like, I know John Harbaugh. There's questions about him. How in the world the Bills even came back from this game? How it kind of switched gears from the second quarter to the third quarter of just like, holy crap, the Ravens are running all over him. And then you saw vintage Josh Allen at home. But some things that stuck out to you in this game.
I guess I mean, you kind of talked about the quarterbacks; those obviously stick out. It was cool to see like a Zay Flowers game. He's kind of been talked about as like that. Oh, Lamar's got a weapon. Oh, he doesn't have a weapon. Oh, he's been injured, kind of stuff like that. So it is cool to see that. It was awesome to see DeAndre Hopkins just show, like, because there's a lot of people that didn't see DeAndre Hopkins when he was with the Texans, and like he was a monster. And so it was good to see, like, he flashed it and was like, no, I can still do this, even at a number 2, because the play he made was unreal.
Yeah.
Um, And then I saw on uh, Twitter or X, the Burgers and Blitz guy say this, and I thought it was a great thing to say. Is like people throw the word generational out there, like no big thing. But if you want to talk about a generational player, it's Derrick Henry. Derrick
Yeah.
Henry played for doo-doo Tennessee. Well, okay, they were good for a couple of years, the Titans, and he's a guy that's he's a big running back. He's a heavier running back. He's not like a Chris Johnson or a Saquon Barkley who's kind of lower to the ground. Like he's a big dude. He runs a certain way, and he's also 30. And
Yeah.
he's a guy that truly gets better as the game goes on. And when's the last time we've seen a running back he's 6'3", 250. When's the last time we saw a running back, do an outside run, take it up the sideline, and outrun everybody?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, Bo Jackson.
Yeah, that's literally, I was going to say, it's literally the only guy I could think of would be like Bo Jackson.
Jim Brown.
Yeah. Bo Scarborough in the preseason.
Yeah, and so it's
Yes.
when you throw a generational word around there, it's like this dude is just to see what he did yesterday, you were like, because you figured this year, you even saw his, and this is
You would
funny
see a
to
regression.
say. Yeah, this is funny to say, but you saw him drop in fantasy this year. Normally he's been top 2 running back every year, and then this year it was oh, we're in the 3rd round. Derrick Henry hasn't been picked yet. And it's and then he goes out and does this. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I thought that was a cool thing that I saw. And then I don't know if y'all sent out the stat about Derrick Henry needs 500 more rushing yards in his NFL career to get to his high school rushing yards total.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
because he had 12,000 in high school, and he has about almost 11,000 in the NFL over 9 years.
Yeah, and I think he had 55 touchdowns 1 year in high school. So it's
oh my God, bro.
Yeah, and then to touch on the Bills, it's obvious that's the Josh Allen show. I think the biggest thing from them to me is what are they going to do about receiver? Because
every year,
Keon Coleman, yeah, he had a good game. I'll give him that, but he ain't a difference maker. Khalil Shakir, I think, is
utility guy.
He's basically a Cole Beasley to me. Is
Yep.
how I think about him. He's a Cole Beasley. I think their tight ends are very good. I'll give them that. But to me, and I don't know their cap situation. I don't know their draft picks. But I'm looking at Miami, and I'm give me Jalen Waddle. Give me Tyreek Hill. I'll throw a 2nd round or 1st round pick. Give me somebody I can tell to run down the field. Or look at Las Vegas. Give me Jacoby Myers.
Yeah.
To me, that's the biggest thing that sticks out to me with the Bills is everybody can look at it and be you're one piece on offense from being probably unstoppable.
You're one Amari Cooper from.
Yeah, and it's all you got to do, and I'm obviously outside looking in, but that's been the thing for the last 3 years is give him one dude, and I think that offense could be unreal.
Yeah, and I always associate teams like this with the Spurs. Back in the day. You had all these utility. You had the Marco Bellinelli 3-point specialist. You had the Tiago Splitter defensive rebound type guy. You had the Tim Duncan post guy. The Ginobili, scrappy left-handed southpaw basketball. You had the point guard. All these different guys with a good coach, and it's you never knew who was going to pop off. It was just a team sport. And so when you look at the Bills in general, I see it in a very similar way because I look at that team and I go, this is a very hot hand oriented organization.
Yeah.
Because people go, I don't know about James Cook. He had 16 touchdowns last year. And of course that's going to change this year because they run hot hand with the running backs. And James Cook's going to get his 200 rush touches and he's going to be effective in the pass game. But if Ray Davis starts taking off, they're running with Ray Davis. If Ty Johnson is effective, they're going to go with Ty Johnson. And same thing with the receiver core, same thing with the tight end core. But at the end of the day, just like the Spurs, it all revolves around one person, Popovich, Josh Allen. And Josh Allen is obviously the ringleader there, and he is the sole reason why they won that football game, other than if you want to count, just the game itself of Derrick Henry fumbling late in the fourth quarter. But this is what to me makes a Josh Allen. And I was talking to Ryan about it off air, and I said, what we're seeing with Josh Allen, what he just did before halftime or whatever it was, like to get a field goal. There are very few quarterbacks that can do what Josh Allen just did on that drive. And by few quarterbacks, I mean the other guy on the field, Lamar Jackson.
Oh,
I can't see possibly Mahomes, but honestly, as of late, I don't see him doing that.
Yeah, Mahomes 5 years ago, it seems like.
Yeah.
And it sounds crazy to say, but like that's what it seems like.
We got to be honest, there is a regression with Mahomes, and we can get to that another time, but there's a regression. And it could be roster. I don't know, but there's a regression. Somebody said, oh God, what was the comparison? It was like, Patrick Mahomes is just Jameis Winston, but all the crazy shit that he does just ends up working.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, stop. But anyway, in terms of these AFC teams and whatnot, I thought this was the best way, entertainment-wise, to start the NFL season with a 41-40 matchup, and I think it's a preview of the AFC Championship, and I think Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL, and there's a lot I could go into to back it up, but I think he is.
After watching just that, like it's hard to sit here and be like, I mean, Lamar is a close second, obviously. I mean, you could go 1A, 1B right there, but just to see like someone just like he was pretty insane, and it's just, I mean, him and Lamar are kind of in a class right now because they can do it multiple ways. They can sling it or they can run it, and it's two totally different styles of running it, but they can do both. And so that's just what's, dude, that's just insane. That was an insane game.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was sitting there last night and I was like, they're down by 15, game's cooked. And then all of a sudden,
everybody went to bed.
Yeah, my buddy was like, hey, are you seeing this game? And I'm like, what game? And they were like, the Bills. And like, oh, shit. Turn it on. Watch them kick a field goal. I'm like, oh, missed it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, the last segment before we wrap things up, I would say I would love to cover the biggest shock that we saw in week 1. And as an overall analysis of the noon and afternoon slate, dude, it was some pretty bad football. Yeah. Very subpar. I mean, missed extra points, missed field goals to win. The Falcons had like 12 freaking plays inside the 5 before ultimately losing the game to a missed field goal within the 30-yard line. The Dolphins, the Texans. I mean, just what shocked you the most in week 1?
You want to do like a winners and losers thing like we do in college football?
Yeah, I would do one loser, one winner, and we'll start with we'll start with the losers. I think that's more
the losers. Okay, I kind of well, I mean, y'all heard me harp on this team all weekend, but it's got to be the Dolphins, and it's like it'd be one thing, and I think I said this. If you lost 33-30 to the Colts and you put up numbers as an offensive head coach, so be it. Maybe it wasn't your day on offense. But you got beat 33-8 by the Colts, who didn't know who their quarterback was going to be. And then it ended up being Daniel Jones.
Indiana Jones.
And you're thinking like, oh yeah, Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, RPO'd it. No. Daniel Jones looked like the sheriff.
He ripped it.
Yeah. And like some reason it looked like he belonged in that jersey. And in a Colts jersey.
Yeah.
And so I'm just looking at this and like we go on every year, and it might be an overreaction a little bit, but like it'd be one thing to like you're in week 10, you've played 6 games in a row without a bye, whatever, and you got a Thursday Sunday, Thursday slate or something weird where you have 3 games in 14 days and you get beat like that. Okay, you can make an excuse. But you came out week 1 and you dropped 8. And it was and that 8 points was a pity 8 points.
Yeah, it was late.
33-0.
Yeah.
At one point, Anthony Richardson was in the game. And so it's like, and then who was it? Zach Wilson. Anthony Richardson and Zach Wilson were in the game.
Oh,
And it's
jeez.
like it's hard for me if you're the GM or the owner or whatever not to be like Monday morning be like, hey, Mike, let's talk my office for a little bit. Like, I'm sorry, that's brutal. And
Yeah.
I mean, you're in it to where you've got Tua, Tyreek, Jalen, A-Chain. You've got these dudes on offense, and they're not put up anything. That's a bad
Very
look.
bad.
That's a loser for me.
Yes. Yeah. That's the main one of the weekend, in my opinion. So, and secondarily, I think, and you can go all day about Mike McDaniel and Tua and what they're seeing out there and how they were super unprepared for that game. But, secondarily, I think the Lions, losing to the Packers in the way that they did. I understand Micah Parsons had a lower snap share with the Packers. He got himself a sack towards the end of the game, but Jordan Love looked phenomenal. I mean, almost everything he was doing in that game looked like bread and butter. Just, easy drop into Jaden Reed. Boop, there it is. Easy drop into this guy. There it is. And on the other side of the football field, and I said this off the record before the season started in some group chats, and I was like, hey, I don't think you guys realize this, but I think the Lions are going to be a subpar team this football season. And they're like, the roster. And I said, I get it. Their roster is freaking stacked. You got every piece you need on offense, but without Ben Johnson, without that play creativity, and you're just basically going, what did he do? Like the new coordinator's like, what did he do last year? We could try some of that. Like, I don't think that's going to work. And I think, without Sean McVay and Ben Johnson as Jared Goff's coordinators, he's like 0-19-1. And so I look at this team, I think 9-8. When I say bad, I say for them, that's bad. 9-8. I don't think they're going to be a leader. I think the Bears have the potential to outperform them. I also don't think the Vikings are going to be any good. They got a lot to learn, but I see the Packers running this division this year, and I think they showed it week 1. And so I was not at all impressed by what the Lions showed, with everybody practically healthy too. So I mean, I'm not particularly excited to see what they got. I mean, I'm interested, but I'm not excited to see what they got to do.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's tough to see, like, because sooner or later, like, if you keep turning out OCs and DCs and the head coaches, like, it's going to be tough to keep that train rolling. And so, like, you lost to Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, who are like, everybody looked at them for multiple years and were like, these are head coaches in waiting. So it's like, I mean, you were taking 2 dudes that were like well-known, well-respected, were essentially head coaches just sitting there as coordinators running this team. Like, if we're being honest, how much was Dan Campbell doing?
Right. That's as a coach's coach, a player's coach.
And so it's like, and I don't think it's anything against Dan Campbell, but you're losing 2 great minds who have gone to teams who, I mean, the Jets, I mean, we saw how much better they looked. And then, the Bears are doing all right. So I agree with you. The Lions were a loser. And then if we want to go into honorable mention, Texans and Panthers, Giants. Doo-doo. Doo-doo.
Yeah, yep. I was not really impressed with the Broncos play calling and against the Titans.
Yeah, they were not good.
Neither the winners though. And I feel like I don't want to steal this one because I feel like you're going to have it, but
Go ahead.
quickly with the winners, I thought Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers were a big time winner this year, and the game itself was a big time winner. I mean, Aaron Jones or it's not Aaron Jones, Aaron Rodgers responded greatly to his former team against the Jets, which also sounds weird to say, but they were lighting on all cylinders, high scoring ball game on both sides of the field. He's taunting the crowd after the game. He had a lot to say about how they told him that basically he couldn't play ball anymore. So I was highly impressed with what Pittsburgh showed. And, additionally, the defense over there in Pittsburgh is dangerous. And they got those DBs out there. They're going to be extremely tough to get past. And Jalen Ramsey he's the best tackling cornerback in the league by far, most physical. I'm impressed with his game. But your winner.
My winner, honestly, I would go with the Jets, even though they lost. But I mean, we talked about it. Looking at that slate, we were like, "This is gonna suck." This is one of those just simulate the game. We don't care. And then this ended up being one of the more entertaining games. Like you said, Rodgers looked good. And then Justin Fields, who I've said for years now, I think is a good quarterback that just got put into this bad situation after bad situation. And I think they tried to make him someone he wasn't. And then you looked at this game and what he did at Ohio State. They kind of brought this out a little more, and he looked a lot better even though they lost. I think the Jets, you had to be impressed with what you saw. And then honorable mention, the Chargers. You beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You get a win.
Yeah. You get a winner for the week. Raiders is my last one. I thought the Raiders looked better than advertised. I thought the Patriots were going to come out a little stronger, but the Raiders. All right, but anyway, that wraps up our NFL edition for this episode. And I think there'll be more entertaining stuff to talk about, and hopefully potentially better football played at the professional level. But per usual, we got our college football episodes out on Tuesday mornings, our NFL episodes out on Thursday mornings. That way you get all the information and your escape from the mainstream media right here on the Shadow the Script podcast and the STS network. So, Medical Guy, thanks for joining. And you can follow us on the socials at Shadow the Script across all platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. And you can listen to this on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So, we'll see y'all next week. Medical Guy, thanks again.